Thanks so much for joining us. Let me come to you, Kojopoku, from the Institute for Energy Policies and Research. Now, what do you think, or what do you envisage with this IMF arrangement that is in the offing? I mean, what do you see? What's your expectation?
Abuaji, the most important thing in the IMF situation is that, look, we need to be cost efficient. I've always said that the only difference between a government and a company is that government have some level of social responsibility and doesn't always look at only making profits. But with a company is profit driven. But I think when you enter the IMF program, one of the key things is that for nothing at all, there shouldn't be a waste in your country. The country should at least do what it needs to do at a minimum for social interventions, but make sure that there isn't waste. Waste basically also comes along with things where you're looking at subsidies for certain things. You were talking to my brother, Nana Mwesi, about electricity tariffs.
Exactly.
I think the most important thing that's going to happen with the IMF involvement is that if government would have looked at, telling PULC that, do not increase, I could probably take some of the monies off the desk or do this or do that. That is not going to happen. PULC will now have a free hand to come out with the tariffs without government interfering to say that, okay, let's do it this way, I will pay the balance, or let's do it this way, I'll pay for this. We are in a very bad state as a nation, and I'm sure nobody will deny that. One of the work going on in the background, and there's a team at work vigorously from the government side, is to negotiate down the energy cost. You know, the tariff that me and you pay is made up of the energy cost in large, then the distribution service charge by the distribution company and transmission service charge by the transmission company. But if the energy cost is being negotiated down and it becomes cheaper than what it is, then the burden to the Ghanaian is less, because if we are able to negotiate the gas down, negotiate the energy cost from the Junkos, which is the IPPs, then we might not see the increases that we think we are going to see when PULC comes out. And I know there's a lot of work going on in the background. So I don't think when PULC finally comes out with their work, there's going to be astronomical increases as we were expecting.
Okay.
The most important thing is that as we are entering the IMF program, there's going to have to be full cost recovery, at least from the government side. Government cannot intervene because the fund will not allow government to start coming into pumping money into the sector. There is a big problem in terms of ECG having to find money to be able to reduce down the 10% technical losses.
Okay.
ECG has been asking for some money, and I'm thinking at the end of the day, there would be some money coming from the PULC proposal to help ECG also reduce the technical losses by building the infrastructure which are old. For the commercial losses, which stands about 19%, that one I know the new managing director, Mr. Dubik, is doing very well in trying to bring, because that one you don't need money. That one is just lazy workers not going out there to recover the money that they are supposed to recover. So the main challenge of the bottleneck is with ECG. And I think, like I said, with money coming in to get them to build new infrastructure, and also the new management looking to recover the money, will help ECG and help all of us. But it will be difficult for government to put money into the energy sector as it would have been envisaged because of the fund. The fund will not allow that.
All right, thank you. I'll come back to you, but let me come to you, Kweku, now. Now, you know, our oil money has been the basis for, borrowing of, going to the market, capital market for Eurobonds and things like that. Now, do you think, Aker Energy has held onto its blocks for some time now and has been postponing, the submission of plan of development? And recently we cited a letter from the GNPC, which is saying that it will no more condone the delay in submitting the PODs. And do you think that in this direction, the IMF would have a way out of this and direct Ghana to do otherwise, or to compel them to develop?
I think AKE is the least of your concern. Look, there are about 13 blocks that have been there since 2012. Quite a number of blocks that people have held. Look, the PA, which is the petroleum agreement, stipulates 7 years.
Right.
Now, the 7 years is divided into 3 phases, 2.5, 2.5, and 2 years. In any stretch of imaginations, all these companies have overrun the PAs that they have. The first phase of 2.5 years, look, if somebody signed a PA in 2013, the person has been sitting on that block for 9 years. What justification would you have for somebody to sit on a block for 9 years? Take away ITLOS, which took about a year of delay, or let's say 2 years. Take away COVID, which is 1 year. That still leaves you with 6 years. Nobody can go through the first phase of a work program over 6 years. And most of these companies have not done first phase of their work programs. And the surprising thing is that we're still 6 years into a new administration, and none of these blocks. I hear that 4 or 5 of them have been abrogated, but more need to be abrogated and awarded. We are gradually getting into a time when the oil blocks from Ghana might no longer be as attractive as it is before because of the energy transition going on around the world. So the times when you have somewhere around between 2007 to 2013, when there were a lot of funds available for oil blocks, it's no longer the case. Now it's a different world. So we have been stagnated at 140,000 barrels, 150,000 barrels, and come down to sometimes 130,000 barrels for a very long time. Ghana, at the minimum, should be doing about 500 to 600,000 barrels by now, 11 years on from first oil. It's unfortunate that we are still doing the numbers that we are doing. So yes, most of the blocks, at least 10 or so blocks upstream, should be abrogated. AKE have gotten the block. They've done a lot. Well, yes, they didn't have money. We all know AKE didn't have money. All that thing that we heard from the GMPC when they were going to try and get government of Ghana to pay for the AKE blocks were just a thing that came up, that civil society came up and said, look, AKE doesn't have the money to do the development. And that is why they wanted Ghana government to do it. If they feel so strongly about it, they should raise the money in the international market and come and do the work.
All right. Thank you very much, Kwadwo Poku, for your time on Energy 101. Finally, Kwadwo, what's your